All right, thank you for staying with us. Nigeria commemorated Democracy Day yesterday, June the 12th, where President Bola Tinubu used the platform to deliver a strong message, not just to celebrate the past, but to clarify his stance on the present and future of Nigeria's democracy. Speaking at a joint session of the National Assembly, the president reassured citizens that democratic institutions remain intact and dismissed fears of a drift towards a one-party state or one-party system. National Assembly correspondent TVC News has details.
This year's Democratic Day was more than a ceremonial event. It became a powerful platform for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to assert political authority and address growing concerns about Nigeria's democratic space. Speaking before a joint session of the National Assembly, President Tinubu struck a confident tone, both reassuring and provocative. In a pointed remark to the opposition, he mocked their lack of coordination and asserted the growing influence of the APC. The president insisted that Nigeria remains a multi-party democracy where diversity of opinions and political competition must be preserved and protected.
To those who ring the alarm that the APC is intent on a one-party state, I offer you a most personal promise. While your alarm may be as a result of their panic, it rings an error. At no time in the past, nor any instance in the present, and at no future junction, shall I view the notion of one-party state as good for Nigeria.
Lawmakers both from the ruling and opposition parties responded with mixed reactions. While many applauded the president's bold tone, others viewed the speech as politically charged and dismissive of legitimate concerns about inclusivity.
The message there is that the opposition has the right to protest against his government, but at the end of the day, we believe that he is doing the right thing.
He was also a victim at one point. That thank God that he was able to navigate his way through, and today standing before us as the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Mr. President is one of those that struggled for this democracy, and by the grace of God today, he was here to show how strong our democracy is. So I believe what we are seeing today is a manifestation of the fact that democracy have come to stay in our country.
Lawmakers also emphasized the importance of the president's physical presence at the National Assembly. They say this demonstrated his deep respect for democratic institutions and reflects a maturing relationship between the executive and the legislature.
Democracy, they say, is not a destination. It is a continuous journey. And even in the face of criticisms and political tension, the duty to protect democratic values remains the shared responsibility of leaders and citizens alike. TVC TVC News, Abuja.
Joining us for this conversation is lawyer and public affairs analyst Jide Ologun. Good morning and thank you for joining us.
You too. It's my pleasure to be with you.
All right. Quickly, from your perspective, listening to the president speak yesterday, what was the high point of his speech for you, and did it capture everything you expected?
Thank you very much. Let me start by the fact that he decided to make his presentation in the National Assembly. I've always said it, that the National Assembly is a unique feature in a democracy. You don't have that under the military dispensation when we found ourselves there. And the National Assembly represents the electorate and the citizens. We have 109 senators, 360 House of Reps members who should project and protect the interest of the citizens. So I appreciate the fact that the president was there to emphasize the need for them to collaborate. You know, I mean, in his words, the effort is not to eliminate political competition, but to make the competition salutary to the national well-being by walking across the political issue wherever, and whenever possible. So he has gone to harmonize with the National Assembly. And since the attention is on economic and social development, I expect that they will all leverage on this and ensure that the dividends of democracy are delivered to the people. And I also appreciate the fact that he recognized the martyrs of democracy in Nigeria, and some have lost their lives in the course of it. And then, like we used to say under the old national anthem, that the labor of our heroes past should not be in vain. And again, he brought to fore how his predecessor, Muhammadu Buhari, recognized MKO Abiola, and of course with Kingibe as his running mate, as the winners of the 93 election, because June 12 has been institutionalized as Democracy Day, because on that day in 1993, Nigeria had an election that has been reckoned as the best ever in this country, free and fair, credible and transparent. But somewhere along the line, the military, led by Ibrahim Badamos Babangida, the then head of state, truncated that democratic victory. So, and that is why in this dispensation, the president has come with the offer of renewed hope. And as far as I am concerned, I have decided to hold on to hope as an acronym, which means helping other people excel. And he has come to showcase some of the efforts his government is making to move Nigeria in the direction of prosperity, though it has not been easy. For instance, he mentioned the program of NEL Fund, because right now a lot of reforms are going on and some policies. And the NEL Fund is to invest in education, vocational training, and make education available to some citizens who probably would have found it difficult to access education.
Yes, sir. What stood out for me in his speech is when he told us about policies that his administration has done to create jobs for Nigerians. And he also said that in July they are going to push a very bold policy that is capable of creating jobs for 400,000 Nigerians. How would you score him on that?
When you consider the population of Nigeria, which is around 230 million right now, some of those policies may not yield obvious results immediately. But the Chinese have a saying that the best time to have planted a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is now. So if it's about having a new direction towards creating jobs, industrializing the nation, if the government is sincere and really invest and work in that direction, why not? Those jobs will be created. But right now, the results cannot manifest. I just mentioned the NEL Fund case. I also know there is this Nigerian Consumer Credit Corporation that was just created, which is also to make business support available to serving citizens, and then other policies like that. But there's a caution here. The government also, and I'm talking about the executive now, the president, should also look at what the citizens are saying, the cost of government, because as we speak right now, the total indebtedness of Nigeria.
So not to cut you short, but I want to speak about some of the things he said yesterday, and one of it was talking about the one-party system. He promised Nigerians that, Nigeria is not turning into, a country where it's just going to be one party and democracy still lives. But we still see the trend of a lot of politicians going to the APC. So I just quickly want to take your thoughts on that statement that he made, because he actually promised Nigerians that we are not going to a one-party system.
You see, I cannot fault the president on trying to drive us in the direction of one party. And my argument has been very clear. Is anyone forced to join APC? The answer obviously is no. I think what has happened, and in his statement he mentioned it, is that some politicians, perhaps in the interest of their political career, have seen their parties have not been able to offer them sustainability in career. So they are jumping. So whether they are jumping credibly or otherwise, we don't know. And I have said this. As we speak, there are about 18 registered political parties in Nigeria. We know the role of opposition. So if the parties who are expected to be in opposition are not actively putting the government on her toes, then too bad. And it's not the business of the president to go and drive the internal democracy of the other parties. And I think it's just clear. And again, let's look at the other side of it. If, as the leader of a party, people are now migrating, it shows, and there are evidences to that effect, that perhaps he knows how to play the politics. You know, I mean, right from inception, look at what he did by bringing a strong force in the PDP to join his government.
Mr. Logun, my apologies for butting in. We don't have a lot of time. I need to put in this question before we let you off this morning. You mentioned a line in our old anthem that talked about the labors of our heroes past. And I think one of the labors our heroes were trying to entrench in this country was the accountability of political office holders, a legitimate system that is accountable to the people. Are we there yet? After 26 years of unbroken democracy in this country, is our system accountable as our heroes past wanted it to be?
Absolutely not at all. And that's my position. So, and let me use what is making the nation bleed now: oil theft. I have read how illegal refineries are busted, how some are arrested. But who are the sponsors of this oil theft? The law should go after them. Section 15, subsection 5 of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended says that the state shall abolish corrupt practices and abuse of office. So when you talk about fighting corruption and ensuring that we have a nation that is not at the mercy of a few who have decided to, hit us with economic sabotage and terrorism, then we are far away from it. That is an area where I challenge this government. At a time, the federal minister said that powerful people are behind illegal mining. And if you don't deal with this sponsor crime against the state, the journey will be more difficult.
I believe that that's a fine place to leave this conversation now. Because of our time, we must say thank you, Jide Ologun, lawyer and public affairs analyst, for your time on the program this morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you. God continue to bless Nigeria.
Amen.